So when I first meet up with someone who's working towards a marathon or thinking about it, I normally ask them a few simple questions. How many marathons have they done? And then I get them to jot down their personal best, their best times across different distances. So 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. And some people won't have all of those, and some of those times won't be super recent. So it's also interesting to understand where someone's at the moment. What's the times that they've hit in the last 2 or 3 months? Because you can learn a lot about the type of training someone's been doing, the type of runner that they are, by looking at how those times correlate. So dig out your times that you've done. And then I like to look at some of these time comparisons tables. Now, there's lots of different people who'll offer online calculators or ways where you can plug in a recent 5K or 10K time and see what your marathon time would be. I think the first thing to say is we need to take all of these with a pinch of salt, because the one that I'm displaying here and the one that I'm talking about comes from VDOT. That's a Jack Daniels thing, based around your VO2 max. We won't get into VO2 max just yet, but this basically shows potential, and it's the potential times that you could do if you've done all of the relevant training, and if the weather's right, and if you've eaten well, and your body weight's in the right kind of bracket, and if you're having a good day and you're not ill. But the most important thing that people miss with this sometimes is they go, "Oh, those calculators don't work for me at marathon," and that's because they haven't necessarily done the training that a marathon demands to be able to hold those paces for the full 26.2 miles. So if we were to pick a runner that I've been working with, or the kind of runner that I'll work with, they might be capable of running a 20-minute 5K. So they're down here, they're at 50 on the VDOT. And the great thing about a 5K is here in the UK, we got things called Park Run, which are free every Saturday. You can go and race 5K whenever you want. You can even go and find a flat piece of tarmac and go and do your own 5K time trial. And you're not going to get too fatigued by doing it. You can treat it as a hard training session, maybe a recovery day after or a rest day after, and you can basically not impact your training. So it's a great way of just gauging current fitness. 5K, flat out, absolutely gut it and see where you're at. And that'll give you a rough idea of your current VO2 max level. And in the Jack Daniels way of looking at it, he gives it a VDOT number. But the important thing to note is that's your current time. And these times, these abilities change as we go through a training block. So based on that, the maximum potential at 10K is around 41.20, around 131 for the half, and around 3:10 for the marathon. Now, I work with a lot of runners who don't track from left to right across here as the distance increases. What happens is they might get quite close and do a 41.20, maybe 42 in the 42s for the 10K, but then their half time is way up at 1:38 up here, and then they're getting 3.5 or 3:40 for their marathon, but nowhere near that 3:10. And when they're running that marathon, if they try to set off at 3:10 pace, they can get to halfway at that, but they're working hard. And then by 15, 16, 17 miles is really starting to grip, and the pace is tailing off, and it's a real battle to get to 26.2 miles. Now, there's no rocket science to this. It's just to say that the marathon is different and it demands different types of training. Similarities between 5K and 10K, similarities between 10K and half marathon. If you're training well for these kind of races, those times have a good correlation, but the marathon asks us to do totally different things to achieve our potential than the things we need to do for 10Ks. So have a think about where you're at on this chart. Have a think about whether you're flatlining all the way across and you're achieving your full potential, because if that's you, what we need to start doing is working at these shorter distances, improving the times on those, and then tracking that across. So different types of training are going to help with these different distances, and there's different training plans that you can build. There's different ways you can progress a training plan to make sure that you're focused in on your current goals. But keeping the focus on marathon here.